Hello there everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Unlimited video, and I have got another deck profile for you today. Today we are going to be talking about Yoda. This is one of my favourite leaders from the new set. I love the amount of resource cheating you can do with this leader. I think it's a really cool effect. For those of you who don't know what he does, so as an action, you can tap him, and if a unit left play this phase, you draw a card, and then you put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. So that can be really good for obviously getting rid of a useless card, but also for stacking your deck for a variety of effects, which we'll sort of come on to throughout the deck profile. He deploys on 7 as a 4/9 with Restore 2, and when deployed, you may discard a card from your deck. That means the top card. If you do, defeat an enemy non-leader unit that costs the same as or less than the discarded card. So basically, he comes in and he nukes anything. This combo of abilities, I think, is really strong, especially when we see these sort of synergistic tools we get to play. And this is going to be a Yoda yellow deck. So why don't we just get started? And I think this is basically like the way I want to play it, because there's just some really fun shenanigans you can do. I do also want to apologise in advance. There are a couple of proxies in this deck because I've got a lot of, I've got about 7 decks built at the moment, and a lot of them are overlapping colour combos. So there's just a couple of proxies, but I'll explain what they are. So let's start off with 3 copies of Grogu. So I've been a very big fan of Grogu ever since he got printed, but I think it's been very hard to find like a good home for him. He's a 0/5, but he just taps down an enemy unit, and so whenever you have initiative, you basically just get to say no. But even if you don't have initiative, he's an annoying little shit that just sits there and goes, you need to deal with me. Either pump 5 damage into me or like waste some removal on me. Otherwise, I'm going to ruin your aggro. Like this card into aggro decks is absolutely hilarious because he just sits there menacingly and just goes, no, exhaust, no, exhaust, no, exhaust. And obviously, as a deck that's trying to make it to the late game, the ability to save like 2 to 10 damage from like a 1/2 drop is kind of ridiculous. He's also force traded, which very much matters, and we'll sort of come on to that more in a little bit. But yeah, just a super strong card, and he finally has a good home. 3 copies of R2. This card's ridiculous. Yeah, you can just filter for your combo pieces and get what you need. 3 copies of Restored Arc. This is just one of your this is just your 3rd turn 1 play basically, and we wanted some space presence, and this is basically the best option you have. Okay, then on to 3 drops. 3 copies of Yoda. Of course, this card is insane. Just a 2/4 with Restore 2, and it lets you draw when he dies, and he's got Force and Jedi traits, which again, the Force trait does matter in this deck. 3 copies of Ezra. So this is a really strong card for just getting value, because you get to, with Yoda, you can sort of stack your deck to know what's coming, which, depending on the sequencing, doesn't always matter with Ezra. But the fact that you basically just get to keep hand advantage and just sit there and play stuff on top of your deck, you gain this extra card you can just look at, right? You can play it, you can discard it, or you can leave it on top of your deck. So you can swing with Ezra and just see what it is and set up deck stacks and things. It's just so good. Ezra is an amazingly powerful card and super useful in Yoda. Does a ridiculous amount of heavy lifting. 3 copies of Concord Dawn, because we need to respect those space decks. And then on to the 4 drops. 3 copies of Kanan. This is our only 4 drop. Again, force traded, and just a very powerful card. Actually, this deck does a kind of insane amount of stuff on that 3 resource spot. So anything you do on 3 is usually really good. And we'll sort of come on to that more when we see the events. But yeah, Kanan's just a good card. Also, it matters a lot that we've got these force traded or Republic traded units, or indeed Rebel traded units. Basically, everything you play has an important synergy, which we will come on to more shortly. Okay, here's the shortly. So our 5 drops: 2 Ki-Adi-Mundi, 3 Plo Koon. There's also 3 Aether Sprite, but Aether Sprite's sort of separate things. Let's talk about Aether Sprite quickly. This card is essential into just being able to interact with these space decks that are running around. It's a 4/6, so it's very resilient. It lets you snipe out stuff with 2 damage, which is really good, and it 1-taps the entire space deck's top end. Just an insanely powerful card. If you're not playing Aether Sprite, I don't know what is wrong with you. Just super good. Okay, right, so let's talk about these cards. So, Ki-Adi and Plo Koon. Plo Koon is an absolute beast of a card. It's a 3/6 with Ambush and Coordinate Raid 3. And when Coordinate is online, this card is ridiculous. When Coordinate is offline, it's still very strong, especially because a lot of the time you are not playing this card on 5, you are playing this card on 3 or 4. Kiali Mundi is a 5/7, which will let you like basically plus Giga, but basically it's just a massive beat stick of stats. Which if you like when you play on curve is fine, but if you're playing it like on turn 2 or turn 3, it just becomes so much stronger. And sort of, I think also important for this discussion is Obi-Wan. So we are playing 2 copies of this card. This is Force and Jedi traded, which you will see littered around the early drop units. It really does matter having these synergies. And like Obi-Wan, if he sticks and you get to deploy Yoda the next turn, it's just so nuts because they have to answer the Obi-Wan, and then you can make your Yoda like a 6/9, a 6/11, and draw a card, and it's just so good. But yeah, okay. Finishing out the top end, we got 3 copies of Luke. Here's my bad proxy number 1. I'd say Luke's in every deck I'm fucking playing nowadays. So yeah, like we all know Luke is insane, and obviously like traits like Rebel matter for Luke, and obviously Force and Jedi as well. So that's why we are playing that. And then 1 copy of Redemption. I'd like to be on 2. I couldn't really find the room. Like maybe you could play 2 Kanan, or like maybe you could play 2 Concord Dawn. Like these are things you could do to get the Redemption. Redemption's really, really valuable because it's a great discard off of Yoda. It's just nuke almost anything. I think depending on the meta, you will want to play like just high cost units, like Zillow Beast, for example. I think there's a very compelling argument to make this a Zillow Beast because that can snipe like crates. And obviously, if you can just save your Yoda deploy and just snipe a crate for like literally 0, that can be really, really valuable. But I think we need to see how much Crate Dragon is represented in these top meta decks before I make a change like that. Because Redemption is very, very useful in stabilizing, and 8 is going to hit almost everything anyway. Okay, then we come on to our events, and I think let's just do the 2 Jedi lightsabers is another proxy. This card's very, very good. We've got a billion things that are force traded. You can slap this on a Grogu, you slap this on Yoda, you slap this on Ezra, you slap this on Kanan, you slap this on Plo, you slap this on Kiadi, you slap this on Obi-Wan, you slap this on Luke, you slap this on Yoda. It's almost your whole deck. And anything you do slap this on is just ridiculous, right? Obviously, you get the +3/+3 buff. If you make Grogu a 3/8 against certain decks, I don't even know what they do. You make him a 3/8 that is able to just nuke 5 HP units, right? So you Jedi lightsaber him, and he just sits there and he goes, nope, die, nope, die, nope, die. He becomes like this controlled beat stick that is absolutely unreal. And so, like, yeah, there's just so much hilarious potential when you give Grogu a lightsaber. But by and large, like, you are just putting this on when it comes up in the curve, but like oftentimes that is on Grogu. But even if you put it on like an R2 or something, like it's still really good. You make R2 like a 5/7, like that's very, very strong. Like, do not sleep on that. Just a really, really powerful card. Okay, let's talk about the events. And firstly, I want to talk about one of the most underrated events in the game, and that is Mystic Reflection. Right now, I think this card is insane. So this gives an enemy unit -2 for the phase, but if you control a force unit, you give it -2/-2 instead. If you look at the sheer quantity of like turn 1 plays or turn 2 plays that are represented in the meta, that there's just straight up nukes, it's like a crazy number. And I think like one of the big things as well is like the Django Space deck, which is obviously like one of the scariest aggro decks right now, just gets absolutely blasted out of the sky by Mystic Reflection, which hits almost everything they play, right? Until you hit basically like, 4 resources, like this hits pretty much everything that deck plays. Like, outside of the 3/4, right? This hits everything. And so the fact you can, for 1 resource, just nuke one of their cards is just crazy. And obviously this deck has so much filter. You have so many ways to, like, obviously like your stuff needs to kind of die, but like, you've got cards like Ezra, you've got cards like R2 to just like dig you there and like let you see like Mystic Reflection in the matches where you need it. It's just so strong. Just really, really good card. And also very useful for just giving you like advantageous trades. Like sometimes you just want to go, I kind of want to trade there, so I'm just going to Mystic Reflection, so you can't kill me back, and just get a value trade that way, and that can be really, really nice. I'm on 1 copy of It Binds All Things. I like this card. It's been fun, but it may be that it's worth cutting. It's just a card I've enjoyed using. You heal up to 3 damage from a unit, and if you control a force, you then deal that much damage to another unit, and this does come up, right? So like, for example, if they've done 3 damage to Grogu, It Binds All Things, heal from the Grogu, and then slap that 3 damage onto something else, potentially remove something. That swing is like absolutely crazy. And again, it deals 3 damage across arenas, and so like this can be really, really useful. For example, if they need to like deal, if they're trying to deal damage to like get something in target town range, like they'll usually deal 2 or 3 damage to something, and then you can just It Binds All Things. For example, on a Kanan or a Kiadi or a Plo Koon, and it's just so good. Like the value you get from when that goes off is like really, really good, but it doesn't happen super often, so I'm only playing 1 copy. I'm also playing 1 copy of Hello There. There's another just very, very good removal tool. For 3, just like works on leaders, which is obviously really, really good. like into Sabine. They deploy Sabine, you go, cool, hello there, and then anything you do to it, like basically a soft breeze will like kill the Sabine. And like, yeah, that's, or like, this one card answers like a lot of really, really annoying stuff that can be like quite scary, like K2, a variety of things. So yeah, just another good card. And I think before we sort of come on to the meat and potatoes of the deck, just 1 takedown and 2 Fell the Dragon. So these are like all good cards, right? Okay, finally, let's talk about the reason you're all here, the reason you want to play this deck. 3 copies are now there, 2 of them, and 3 copies of You're My Only Hope. So this deck has 6 ways to just cheat stuff out, and it is absolutely hilarious, right? And I think that the reason I love this so much is your opponent is always put into impossible situations where there is no like correct call, because they need to basically soul read which one of these you're going to go for. So like, and it's so good. So okay, so basically, like the logic is this, right? Now there are 2 of them requires, and so this is a turn 2 play basically, right? And so firstly, your consistency is like through the roof of like seeing one of these turn 2. But on turn 2, right? So turn 1 you play a unit. Turn 2, and let's say you lose initiative. If you have initiative, obviously like you're on cloud 9 because whichever one you need, you get to play. But so you're on turn 2, and you go, okay, your opponent has initiative. You've got 1 unit on the board. Do they remove the units on the board? If they do, you can't now. There are 2 of them, but you just because Yoda is, if any unit left played this turn, you then set up. Now you now guarantee that they get to Your My Only Hope without needing any RNG or needing to make them set it up themselves. If you leave the unit alone, and there are 2 of them, now you feel like a fucking idiot because you just let them get, and now they're doing them off. So you basically put them into this impossible situation on resource, in particular on resource 3 and resource 5. Those are like some of the most backbreaking ones. But actually, any stage of the game, these cards are absolutely crazy, because if we look at the curve, right, like Luke or Obi are nuts. On turn 2, we have so many good 5-drops to just like get off the top. On turn 2 we have so many good 5-drops, right? If you get an Aether Sprite down off of You're My Only Hope turn 2, that's ridiculous. They have no way of cleanly answering this card, and it's just going to sit there and do ridiculous work turn after turn after turn. And obviously, like, now there are 2 of them in a Plo or a Kiadi. It's just ridiculous. Also, what I really like doing is, like, on resource 4, you can still do insane stuff, because both of these cards still work to get you a card like Obi-Wan out, which, again, on 4 resources is just such a power play. But especially if you've got, like, for example, if you get, like, a Grogu out, and then, like, it hangs around. It's like you Grogu, and then like you play, I don't know, like an Ezra, and they go, okay, the Ezra's a bigger issue, so they answer the Ezra. You have initiative going into the next turn, you go, okay, now there are 2 of them. Boom. Obi, I've now got this Grogu sitting here. It's going to be absolutely huge when you deal with the Obi. It's just so strong. And like, again, like these 4 tag units are just also like way better now that Cunning is kind of out of the format. So yeah, I think it's just so good. I think it's really, really, really good. Yeah, super fun to play. Let's talk about the sideboard briefly. 2 copies of Spark, 1 takedown just in the matchups where you need it. 2 Rivals Fall, because I respect Anakin existing, and you need to be able to just nuke that guy when he comes down. I think otherwise you're quite like well prepared for the game plan in the sort of deck. Like, you don't really mind them value trading you because it's setting up your consistency, and you've got a lot of ways to interact and cheat out really, really big units and make it very, very hard for them to value trade you. So like, yeah, you can gain +2 attack, but if I've just gone cool turn 2 fucking Kiadi Monday, I don't think that's really going to help you. And especially when you've got like tools like this, which are also really, really useful. 2 copies of Top Target, just to help stabilize in the aggro matchups. 2 copies of Perilous Position. This card's ridiculous. May be worth like putting in the main. Like, usually when one of these bits isn't like super good, you just put in the Perilous Position. And Attack for the games that are going to go longer. And that's basically the deck. I think it's really, really good. I've really been enjoying playing it, and it's just so fun sitting there and just getting stupid value playing. Like, this is the one deck where you basically get to guarantee like playing insane stuff completely off sequence. And yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for this leader, and I really recommend giving it a whirl. If you guys enjoy this video, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel for lots more Star Wars Unlimited content, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. And obviously, let me know what you think of this in the comment section down below. Cheers.